This is Chivian TechVision, and I'm engineer Vivian Aliu. Our guest today is Mr. Oluyemi Tajudeen-Ojudu. You are an experienced information technology expert, specializing in business operations engineering. You hold a Bachelor of Science in Politics, Philosophy, and Economics from the Obafemi Awolowo University. You began your career at Fidelity Bank, Market Road, Onitsha, in the Operations Division before receiving a scholarship to pursue a Master's in Information Science at the North Carolina University in the US. You hold several certifications, including a diploma in Big Data Analytics from the Center for Development of Advanced Computing in India, and you are a Microsoft certified IT professional in database development and administration. Postmasters, you served as a system analyst with D-Box Computers, where you manage projects for the state of North Carolina in the US. You then returned to Nigeria to join the newly formed NFIU under the EFCC, Economic and Financial Crime Commission, becoming the organization's first database developer and administrator. Then you developed the first intelligence database, which grew to contain over 700 million records. In September 2010, you joined the Federal Inland Revenue Service as the head of the third-party integration unit in the ICT department. You collaborated extensively with third-party agencies like the Nigerian Customs Service, the Central Bank of Nigeria, to enhance revenue collection. Your tenure at FRS was briefly interrupted, where you served as a senior technical advice assistant to the governor in Ekiti State, spearheading the registration for the government domain, establishing a payroll system and implementing it, a collaborative communication platform called Pronto. Upon returning to FRS in January 2015, you led the third-party integration until your transfer to the newly established Intelligence, Strategic and Data Mining and Analysis Department. As an Assistant Director, Analysis and Intelligence Division, you implemented massive initiatives that significantly improved data collection, data engineering, risk profiling, and analysis. You also had the opportunity to study the application of intelligence reports for optimized revenue collection at the FRS field office. Presently, you are an Assistant Director in Federal Inland Revenue Service and the head of the Applications Division of the Tax Data Management. Mr. Oluyemi Tajudeen-Ojudu, you are highly welcome to Chivian TechVision.
Thank you.
So, our platform here is not just a podcast. It's basically a place where we try to shine more light on the intersection of technology and governance. We want to try to discuss, debate, decipher, even dig deep into the kind of technology that we need in this country to improve public service delivery, to streamline government processes, to even ensure accountability and transparency. So we also find out that there are some fundamental things that are missing, that seem to be like the challenges and gaps we have from taking us from one place, from A to B, when it comes to technology and public governance. So I want to start with your personal experience. You have been in the public, you've been like myself, you've been in the private and the public sector over the years. So I want us to start with your career in the public sector so far. So what kind of projects have you taken so far? What kind of projects have you undergone when it comes to technology?
Well, it's been very interesting. You know, I've all my time in technology has been all about, it's been centered around the issue of data, you know, intelligence gathering, using data for intelligence and all that. So that's been what I've been always in. That's what I've been involved in over time. Yeah. My first experience in Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, you know, actually exposed me greatly to the issue of intelligence, using data for intelligence, data gathering and all that. So it's been in fact, that opened my eyes to the importance of data. Yeah. You know, in decision making, policy making, and so many other things. And generally in development, you know, being able to make good policy using data, looking at trends, being able to do so many crime fighting, addressing developmental issues using data and all that. So that's been my major experience over time.
Okay. So in these experiences, what were the challenges you particularly faced in implementing these solutions, in taking them from idea to
yes, one of the challenges in Nigeria about
you want to talk about just your experience for now?
Yes, my experience when in terms of working with data and all that is that getting the data together is a major experience. You have to do extra work so that the data can actually do what you want it to do, because where you are getting the data from first, are they releasing the data willingly?
Yes.
Are they ready to give you a clean data? Even when you have the unclean one, the issue of cleaning the data to put it in the right form, in a usable format is a lot of issue, So all that has been the experience I've had, using data in my workplace so that I can get the proper result out of the data that has been collected.
Okay. So now I think we would quickly go into, the Nigerian government, the public space as a whole. So, how do you think the government is currently utilizing emerging technologies like machine learning, AI, and generative AI? Can you give examples without giving away proprietary information? In what areas, in what aspects of government is the Nigerian government trying to actually implement these emerging technologies?
Yes, when we talk about emerging technologies, the countries that are currently using emerging technologies, they've done some preparatory things to allow them to use emerging technologies effectively. But Nigeria, where are we? I think I will still say we are struggling, to start using when you talk about emerging technologies, we talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so many other things. So how are we using machine learning? How are we using artificial intelligence?
Which sectors? Is it easy to point points this sector,
that is already using that. It's majorly in Nigeria right now. I can't really point to any sector that is deep into the use of artificial intelligence or machine learning properly, because for you to even use that properly to in policy formulation, in economic growth, in crime fighting and all that, you have to have the required data to even do all of that. Where is the data in Nigeria? Where do we have the repository that you can actually run a proper machine learning algorithm on and get some interpretations out of it? Where is it? You have a lot of silos all over the place that are not integrated, that we can even say we will do any major job on that. You can give you some good information. In intelligence, I think maybe I mention. I wouldn't want to mention agencies and all that, but there are some people, there's in my previous experience that they are really bringing data together to actually look at trends and all that, and use them for intelligence purposes and all that. There are some that are doing that now, but it's still minimal.
Very minimal.
It's not at the level that it should. Yes, it's not across the nation. It's not something that you can say, oh, we are there yet.
And it's a sad thing, because countries of course, it's there are countries that are even giving grants and loans now to manufacturers of those chips that this AI use. So these are what countries are doing now, realizing the potential, the future benefits of this. And it's so sad that we as a country, we have not even started with the basics.
Yes, you see, for us to start in that way, Nigeria, the government has to be fully involved. It has to be in some kind of, there has to be some kind of national policy around the use of data, around the use of artificial intelligence. I was talking about the issue of, our government making it a major policy. What is our policy about AI now? I know that the Ministry of Communication, Innovation and Digital Technology, Economy, they are doing something around AI and all that. Have we addressed the foundational issues? It's not just looking at AI, and then saying, oh, okay, Nigeria should tap into the revenue in AI. How are we going to tap into it? What have we done? What are the foundational issues we put in place? You see, one thing about Nigeria is that when we want to approach the issue of technology, it's like building a house from the roof.
From the roof, yeah.
So you start from the roof. You don't even look at it.
What we are doing
so
now.
we now adopt technology that we can't even manage. We don't even know what to do with it. We buy it so expensive, and then we start struggling with it. So there are issues that we need to address here.
So since you've identified, that we have minimal adoption of this kind of technologies, this AI and the rest across ministries. So are there particular ministries you can name that you think needs emerging technologies more than the others?
See, let me tell you, in Nigeria, there is no ministry in Nigeria that doesn't need, all these technologies. It's just that, okay, are you going to talk about our finance, Ministry of Finance? Are you going to talk about Ministry of Petroleum? Are you going to talk about Ministry of Education? Are you going to talk about Ministry of Health? There is artificial intelligence in health, health informatics and all of that.
In fact, in the US, that's the sector that uses AI more.
More. You go to any clinic now, they enter your, they've collected your medical history and everything, and then they match it against, different medical solutions and all that. And they as they're asking you questions, the diagnosis is coming up gradually and all that. By the time you finish answering the questions, you have already been diagnosed by the artificial intelligence, tell you this is what is wrong with you, this is what they will give possible treatment to your problem. That is artificial intelligence. But right now, where do you have a lot of this information? Is there a repository where you can actually build an AI, health informatics on that will give you the result you require,
So, yes, like you said, there's no sector
of our economy that doesn't need
both
these
the
things.
health, both education,
crime fighting.
So what are these challenges? Like my own, little time in public sector, I've seen the bottlenecks that impedes upon developing solutions that are useful. So in your own vast experience, I want you to try and identify what is the major challenges you have.
You see, one of the major challenges we have in Nigeria right now is putting our data together. We have so much data in silos. It's everywhere. In different places. You have some data with, when you talk about, vehicle registration, there are some data there. NIMSI, they have their data. Federal and Land Revenue, they have their data. There is no central place. Who is hosting this data? How integrated are these data? Do we have where is this data well integrated in such a way that you can actually use analytics to, on it? Yes. There are a lot of issues, So we talk about this theft, crude oil theft and all that. These are problems that we can actually solve with analytics, with intelligence, artificial intelligence. Because if you know the volume of oil you are producing per day,
you know your capacity,
you know what you're supposed
to produce, and
yes, you know what is being exported.
That's just even simple analytics.
Simple analytics will give you how much, who is stealing. You will know how well is being stolen. You can actually monitor these things, So there are so many issues, that technology can address in the country. So that's why government has to put the issue of technology in the front burner. We start from the foundation. We don't just start from the roof and start building a house. It won't work.
Exactly.
You have to do the foundational things first. Let's put our data together.
So what are these foundational things?
Yeah, one of the foundational things is just, like this kind of strategies, the artificial intelligence strategy. One of the things I thought it will address, I don't know if they discussed that.
That's the strategy discussed in the Ministry of Digital Economy.
Yes, the digital economy is to look at how do we bring, have a very huge database for this country that can look at every sector and say, okay, what do we have here? What do we have here? What do we have here? How do we integrate all this data? How do we bring it together? We can use it to generate revenue. We can use it to fight crime. We can use it to fight money laundering. We can use it to fight a lot of things. We can use it for policy making, policy formulation. We can use it for so many things. Look at the economic trend and all that.
Before we even talk about the policies that should be developed, because that's like my next question. I want us to really identify what those challenges, apart from the fact we don't have accurate data or even enough data for these Gen AI and machine learning algorithms to work with. What other foundational problems do you think we have? I think we have, I was about cloud, compute.
There are a lot of, generally the technology landscape is where, if
now, I want us to be specific.
Yes, when we are talking about the technology landscape, there are so many problems that we're dealing with, apart from the issue of even data.
Yes.
What about the internet infrastructure?
The internet, connectivity.
Yes, connectivity.
Because these servers that run these technologies, they need almost uninterrupted
connectivities and all that in the country. Right now, in most organizations, you can't be sure. You might be doing some work on your system, and then the data is gone, your connectivity is gone for the next 1 hour. You can't even. It's frustrating.
Yeah,
it's not there. So those issues are there. There was a time that I know NCC wanted to do fiber laying everywhere, terminating different places so that we can have good networks and all that. But what is the ministry doing to make sure that is completed? What is the ministry doing that we have interrupted internet connectivity and so many other things? Those infrastructure, you need to have it to start talk before you start talking about the big technology trends that is happening in some other countries and it's not happening in Nigeria. What do we have on ground? Those are major issues.
Yeah.
So it is there. The wireless connectivity, so many things they are lacking in this country. If you want to do meaningful work, you have to have an uninterrupted connectivity.
So now, we've identified connectivity, data, reliable data, reliable data then collection.
Another thing is the skill.
Okay.
The skill.
This is where me and you always argue about.
Yeah, the skill has to be there. There are so many ways that these skills can come into the country. We need to actually practically, I would say we change our curriculum in the universities. I was thinking that part of the policy of government, having a new blood, into the Ministry of Communication,
Innovation
and digital economy. This, I think the ministry should have some kind of collaboration with the Ministry of Education. To say, let's change our curriculum
it's so funny
in computer engineering and computer science, software engineering and all that, so that the guys who are training, bringing out of the university now, can actually come out with good skills, even needed certifications that can give them, a lot of, that can become a launching pad for them in the technology world.
Yeah.
Because right now, if you pick the curriculum of our computer science faculties or departments in the universities, apart from the private schools, you'll be shocked what they are teaching there. There are some schools that are still teaching Pascal, they are still teaching Fortran.
And all that.
So how do you want so
it's so funny that they just concluded National Artificial Intelligence Strategy. They said that the 4-day workshop they just concluded some days ago or so. It's funny that part of the policies, or part of the things they came out with. They came out of it. I think the relaunch of the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. They said they did a relaunch. The last minister did set up that space, but they did a relaunch of the place. They said they were going to work on compute technology. They were the 3 MTT fellows or graduates were going to work on building large language models. And there was nothing, it was so surprising, there was nothing about a collaboration of the ministry with education. Which is one of the fundamental
things. A lot has to change around that, because you need to find a way of giving the capacity from that level of education, being able to train the people that are coming out of the university very well in these skills. And one of the problems I've seen is that even the lecturers in these universities, they do not have the hands-on experience. They too come out of the universities learning Fortran to come and teach. They become a doctorate. They become a doctorate student, graduate there and all that, and still have the same technology they were trained on in 1980s or some 1970 something and all that, and they're still teaching the student. One of the things I would say that should happen is that let the practicing, data scientists, engineers and all that, the IT engineers, let them train go to the universities and teach part-time.
Yeah.
Give them those jobs. In other climes, you have someone working in the R&D departments of IBM coming to a university to teach part-time.
Yeah.
You know, you have an army.
Having those as
you have a military, someone working in the military as an engineer there. You know, networking engineer coming to teach in the university. The kind of stuff that kind of person will teach a student will be different from someone that has been reading textbook all his life. You know, so that is the difference here. That has to change. You know, that thing has to open up. They need to open up the educational system so that people that have the practical experience can actually go in there and train the students, you know, so that you give them practical experience, theoretical and practical experience, so that they can come out better, you know. So it's those are the things we need to do.
That question, I think, that's one of the answers to my next question. Like, since we have been identifying these foundational problems, you know, what kind of policies do you think, in addition to these ones that this ministry have just lined out, what kind of additional policies, based on like what we've been discussing so far, do you think, apart you've just said one, which is collaboration with Ministry of Education, what other kind of policies do you think government should be looking at?
One of the things I was sometimes ago, I was reading about China, how they develop their technology and all that. And you see, the Nigerian government has to make it a priority. You know, I've never, in most of the visions being developed in Nigeria, I've never seen technology development as a priority. You know, these days it should be almost, if it's not number one, it should be number two. It can't be either number one or number two, because it's all technology and development. They are like they're almost like Siamese twins now. They go hand in hand. They, you know, so when you pick technology, if you are well developed in technology, other things will work out for you, because there will be good research, and government needs to put money into R&D, research and development. You know, technological development. It has to be there. You know, that's what we give you. You know, we place you at the top when they are listing when they are talking about developed countries in the world. You know, when you get your technology right, and why are we talking about the South Koreas of this world, the Japan of this world, the China of this world? Why are we talking about India developing the skills of their citizens? You know, so is technology is key. You know, so they have to devote a lot of attention to it, a lot of money being put into it. Thank God, Bosun Tijani, if you look at his resume, he's well exposed. He knows a lot of things and all that. He studied economics and later
think he has some good ideas.
He has good training and exposure to be able to put things together. Yeah. I don't know what he's been pushing, but if he's been pushing government towards embracing technology and all that, I think we should have been seeing the effect now. But he needs to push more. You know, technology should be priority. You know, train our people. That, in fact, when you talk about employment generation, you know, when you have people that are well skilled in technology, you give someone that kind of skill. You've given him something. You've empowered the person. So what else are you looking for? You can build, you can work in, you can live in Nigeria and build systems all over the world.
I always argue with the fact that when people talk about, you know, we don't have enough skills, I always play devil's advocate and say, I don't think so. I think we have lots of skilled Nigerians in tech. That's what I believe. Yeah, the problem is, which is one of the reasons why, you know, why we are here today, is because the problem is not even the skills. Skills is one of it. You can never be too knowledgeable. So I'm an advocate for continuous learning, continuous improvement. But I feel we even have adequate skills to even at least move upwards. The problem still remains those foundational issues, because most of our youths who are trained in tech, the next thing they do, the NGOs, even the government have done so many programs that it gives you the opportunity to learn some things for free. I've been a beneficiary of a lot of them. In fact, that is how I got to learn some of the practical things I know today. So, but the thing is, it's not even the skill aspect. Is when you're finished learning those things, there's not enough practical. There's not enough. Our local market does not support the skill. That is even one of the main reasons why I started this podcast, because there are some foundational things that need to be there before you can even set up the environment for such skills to now come in and do what they are supposed to do. Those are the foundational things we are talking about, like this connectivity, lack of data, our compute infrastructure is lacking in terms of cloud data centers. It's lacking. You need to see what there's a lot going on in that
is
space.
This issue of stimulating the tech environment. It's just the tech economy needs to start growing in Nigeria.
So that's why I keep on saying we should not be talking about the skill aspect, because trust me, Nigerians are skilled.
Yes, you see when
in tech.
You see when you say Nigerians are skilled in tech, when you compare, the what is the ratio to the population? Let me give you an example of, I was discussing with one of my colleagues before. He has, migrated to Canada now. One very skillful guy and all that. He said one of the first job he got in Canada is out of about nine engineers there. 90 engineers there.
Yeah.
About 70 of them were Indians. 70 of them were Indians. Yeah. But you see, he said in all that it's not as if they are more skillful than the Nigerians that are there. The Nigerians there are very skillful there. They have. So if you see the way,
so you're saying not enough.
Indians, if you see the way Indians churn out skillful technology guys on a daily basis, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. So when one is leaving, another one is coming out. When one is leaving, another one is coming out. So that's why there's no complaining about brain drain. It has become an export product for them.
Yeah.
Because those people still repatriate money back home and all that. So that we should get to that level. When you have a lot of that skill coming out, there will be innovation. People will come out and innovate things and all that. And then government should invest in startups. There are so many skills that, that can come out of, technology startup business and all that government can put money into. Put money in back of industry. Let people go there and apply for money with their ideas and all that, and build very superb technology, softwares, applications that can help the country.
Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Like right now, I am a member of the Data Science Network, Data Science of Nigeria Network, and there's usually there's a program. In fact, most of the applicants or most of the people there are mostly undergraduates and few graduates. A few of us are working professionals. So they always issue out all these free courses in conjunction with one of these big service providers like Microsoft. So currently they are doing like an advanced Azure learning, Azure machine learning. Yeah. And most of the people on that platform are undergraduates. And you need to see their level of tech adoption, the level at which they know, hands-on things. So the problem is now, if somebody like I'll give an example. You learn these skills now. You go to a small business. Like I have a friend that, she has this little cosmetic business she does. I'm a data science, I'm a machine learning engineer. And so I'm like, okay, let me give you an advice, because I see she's not making sales. I go to her website. Her website is so static. I go there, the next maybe 1 week I go there, I'm seeing the same thing. There's no improvement. So I'm telling her, do you know that you can use analytics to actually improve your sales just from you sitting down in your house without you going around hiring a marketer and all that? She said, how do you mean? And I'm explaining this. You need to set up Google Analytics for your website, first of all, to know the people coming in, to know like what is making them leave, to know how many impressions you have a day, just all that. You need to set up that. You need to monitor your social media. You need to know who comes to your page, how many people, where are they coming from, target your market. And you're explaining that. Then when you're explaining this, the person is confused, doesn't even understand where you're coming from.
See, let me take you to the issue of digital literacy. So what is the level of our digital literacy in the country itself?
So digital literacy is different from this tech learning. That's where I want to understand. So digital literacy for the average man is different from
tech learning.
The tech skills.
The tech skills could be for the people that develops the technology itself.
Yes.
But digital literacy is knowing that this is what I need
not
for
the
my
skills. That's what I'm getting at.
This is what I need for my business.
Yes.
What do I need to do
that
to enhance my productivity?
And even the government that needs these services are not even like aware the extent.
So you see, there are some technology you will need for manufacturing. There are some technology we need for services. There are some technology we need. How, if someone opened, that's why, the educational aspect of it had to, maybe I would call it sensitization. What do I need if I'm starting a certain business? What kind of technology do I need to enhance that business? Because you can actually have a business in Nigeria and sell all over the world and expose it to a lot of places, So that is the issue that's the digital literacy aspect of it. Like, okay, I'm starting the business. What kind of technology do I need to enhance it? Who do I need to hire? What do I need to do? What kind of website do I need to set up?
Yeah.
What is my target? Where is my target audience? Do I want to reach the issue of the global village now? Where is my reach? Do I want to get to the US, get to everywhere to sell my product? Can people order from there? So go to Amazon, you see the way they sell their things. If you browse Amazon today, by the time you are going back next time, it's putting some of the things it will have checked your interest and everything.
Yeah.
It's bringing something that interests you to your front to see, okay, this is what we checked the last time.
In terms of like listing out this policy, I think this is another, we've actually, highlighted two major policies now, which is this integration of, it's not just calling all these big vendors and saying we are relaunching the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. Like, integration of that ministry with the Ministry of Education is one of them. Mm-hmm. I think another thing is digital literacy, not just these skills, not just tech skills,
not just
digital literacy for the average business person, for the average public servant.
When you build a technology, who uses it? Some people need to use it for it to. So that's the digital literacy aspect of it. To train. In fact, sometimes some organizations bring technology. The users, you bring technology to your company. You find out that your staff, 80% of your staff cannot even use it properly.
Yes.
And then the adoption level becomes very low.
Yeah.
And then the technology is abandoned.
Because I go to some of these tech skills providers, their websites, the popular ones out there, like even Data Camp and all that. And they actually now have a course for digital literacy. And they'll tell you this is just for an awareness for maybe your business leaders, your staff. This is not like a skill something. So if these providers are having such things, it lets you understand that this is something that should actually be, that should be our focus, not just, learning the skills, because trust me, millions of Nigerians are learning already have the skill, but that digital literacy aspect,
it has to be there, and that's one thing about our innovation in Nigeria. When you innovate and you're not thinking about the end users, you are not thinking about the stakeholders and all that. You see, that's the issue of inclusive innovation. There's a new is something, is a term that we need to look at. Inclusive innovation. When you innovate, you need to think about so many of these people, that how do they use it? The acceptability of what you are innovating, and so many of these. Even when you are even bringing a foreign technology, you need to think around that.
One of the policies that the minister and his team at that National Nigerian Artificial Intelligence Strategy, one of the policies they outlined that they are looking forward to implementing, which sort of addressed what we are saying to just a small extent, which I think I'm happy with, is the fact that talk about this compute infrastructure. Like, they are going to work with some major brands in infrastructure technology to sort of provide computing, accessibility and infrastructure for researchers, startups. So at least that's a start. Making sure that startups and probably the small businesses, because that was not included there. They just say startup researchers and all that, because small businesses also need compute resources. Because if you are a machine learning engineer, a data scientist, and you want to implement a process for, let's say, a private sector individual, for a business, you would need some sort of cloud service to work with.
And that brings me to when you are talking about having, a small business having those infrastructure to enhance the business, but the cost of that to the business is another problem.
No, that's the beauty. That's why I said there need to be policies on this, because the beauty of this modern day compute services, the ones the Amazons and the they provide, is that you use compute based on your your requirements. So it's not like private servers or private clouds where you just have to buy a big amount
but right
and maybe
now
you underuse.
it's still very expensive in Nigeria, look at
Amazon, you pay as you use.
Okay, Galaxy Backbone is both government and private,
Yes.
Galaxy Backbone should be able to do what you are talking about for businesses.
But they don't.
They don't, because if you go there too, the cost is
That's why,
a lot of business will tell you that no,
that's
they
why
can't
startups
afford it.
like the Amazons need to come out and provide a more subsidized version. If government cannot
hosting service and so many of those things, it has to happen. That's why government needs to support these
support
things
those kind of startup like that wants to do what Amazon
technology
do, to make it accessible to a small business person so that he or she can just have a small server space where a data scientist or a machine learning can come and use and do any implementation for them.
And then the issue of collaborative economy in terms of hosting and all that has to come into play, where you can have someone host your business for you. You don't need to actually build your own website or go and subscribe again to what you do is just to come into the guy's this thing, come together and just pay small money, the guy can host you, put you under his so a lot of businesses can come together and just
so let's move a bit away from Nigeria, but not too far away, still inside Africa. Can you name one country that you think are at a place in terms of the intersection of technology and public governance? A country in Africa, maybe close to our own economy or close to our own situation, that is actually doing something, that's actually progressing.
South Africa is doing something, but close to Nigeria, I will say Kenya. Kenya they're actually doing a lot of things about data integration, payment services.
I think Kenya, they're actually our competitor when it comes to the tech space in Africa.
They are even
Kenya and Lagos.
They are even going very far now. What they've done with this their M-Pesa mobile money is very fascinating. In terms of reducing the level of informal economy in Kenya. Because when you have financial inclusion in remote area, in remote places and all that, rural areas, you reduce the level of informal economy because how much they are making, who they are, a lot of those things.
And that's data. As a government,
that's data for planning.
Thank you.
Yes, for government already. So when you know all of that, you know the processing power.
Economy,
you shrink the informal
more
sector.
Data is being harnessed.
Yes, you harness a lot of data through that and all that because financial inclusion involves that you've collected some of their information. You know their name, their business, what they do and all that.
Yes.
And then they bring money into the financial circle, and then you can actually plan with that kind of information. So Kenya has been able to do that with that M-Pesa. Anything you want to do in Kenya now involve M-Pesa is easier. People selling in the market, they use M-Pesa easily and all that. And because of the model they've been able to adopt, and we can actually adopt similar model. So to do that, and then I think they have government support to be able to. Is both public and private sector.
It's a partnership. It's not just
so that it has gone far with that. So they've been able to do a lot of that, and it's very successful there.
I think MTN is actually doing something like that with their mobile money, but it's not as robust.
And
I don't think they have the same collaboration.
With government in terms of the coverage of that.
That's
so
interesting.
Yes.
So looking forward now, like what trends you think you believe is crucial for government, even though we don't have most of those basic infrastructures now? Like, can you name some of these emerging technologies which you think our government should be looking at acquiring in the near future?
Yes. You see, one of the things is not about acquiring.
And how we should better prepare. I know we've named some.
Yes, it's our, like we said earlier, the preparation in terms of integrating our data, enhancing the technology infrastructure in the country, making digital literacy issue and all that. We should be at the preparatory level
right now.
Right now, so that in the next 4 or 5 years we are saying this, you see, because when you build technology to the local content has to be there.
So in terms of preparatory level, what would you like advise the policymaker now?
The policymakers,
in terms of this data preparatory
yes,
stage.
they should be focused on integrating our data now in the country.
Yes.
It will help our revenue collection, revenue generation, and so many things. It will plug a lot of leakages. It will enhance security.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of all this kidnapping that is so rampant and all that. It will do a lot of things for us.
Data preparedness can solve
is huge.
Yes.
You know, so government should be thinking around that. You know, you can work with the NSA office, you know, the National Security Advisor office, they can even put that together. Bring sectors together, industries in the sector together to start collecting this data and start building a huge system that it takes time, but it will grow gradually, and then we can build on these things. So a lot of people can tap into this data.
Like we're supposed to have, like, I think what you are saying is that right now what government should be looking at is building like a central repository where there's multiple integrations from different agencies.
And all that, bringing this together. We need to quickly do that so that we can actually work, and then we can now start talking about, large language
models and
LLMs, talking about the different generative AI and all that, you know, trying to look at open AI. You know, so many things can come up, and then you are stimulating the technology space when you do that, you know. So the skills, so you train someone from the university, you already have some way this guy can actually use the skill. You already have what he can do. He's already thinking of what kind of application can I build, you know, using data to sell to the world. What can I do? You know, the world is actually looking at Nigeria as number one in Africa to bring things up and all that. So we should position ourselves properly, start getting ready to take our place in the world, you know. So we are very smart people. We can do it. It's not, you know, others that are doing it don't, you know, they are not better than us. So I believe we can do it.
One of the key things I would also, you know, help is this, I think we've talked about it before, this partnership with the tech sector. How do you think government can do this in terms of, you know, improving the intersection of technology and governance? How can government work with the private sector?
You see, the best way to work with the private sector in terms of, you know, technology is there are some policies that make the job easy for them. You know, there are so many things that, you know, like, okay, if you have an idea now as a private person that you are trying to develop, these things, you need money, you need to hire people to work with you to develop these ideas. Yeah. But where do you get the funding?
In fact, most of our tech startups, they get funding from VCs outside the country. And most times the VCs, they will take a huge equity from that. And that company becomes foreign owned
and all that. So why don't we have some good money set aside, you know, by like the ministry?
A local VC, venture capital.
Yeah, venture capital. For if you have good idea, bring it up, technology idea, and we can build it, you know. So there are so many ideas that are being supported by government funding, and you won't even know, you won't hear it, but you would know it is when the idea, you know, is fully developed that you start hearing about it. But underneath it, you will see that, especially in China, in Japan, in South Korea, in all these places, they get a lot of government funding to develop things that people talk about today, you know. So government needs to come out with policies that enhances and a conducive environment that enhances startups and all that, and development of technology ideas, funding.
And also, you know, the digital literacy also comes in.
Yeah, the digital literacy thing too, you know, is very key, you know.
Okay, so rounding up, I would like you to just discuss, in your own view, what steps needs to be taken to overcome the challenges. We've mentioned so many challenges so far. So we just want to summarize the next steps, like, you know, in like consecutive orders that government will need to take to just address these challenges, these bottlenecks that is preventing this intersection of technology and governance. Let's just quickly summarize the steps you think government should take.
Yes, I think, you know, one of the steps is, you know, we've mentioned it, is just to summarize, you know, one of it is the issue of policy first. Okay. You know, policy, legal framework. Okay, like look at the policy we have about you can't host government data in the cloud.
In the cloud,
You
in
know,
the private,
that kind of policy needs to be reviewed.
with like a private enterprise.
Yes, you know.
But do you think so? Do you, for security reasons, do you think it's
Yes,
actually
for security reasons,
I don't know about that?
You see, there is no way you put this data, you know, that you are even hosting on-prem. If is it totally secured? Can you say that it can be hacked? It can still be hacked. You know, so the money, all these, the Amazons of this world, the Huawei of this world, the Alibaba of this world, the Azure of this world, they spent on security. Can a private individual spend it on
On their own
securing their
security.
infrastructure?
Okay.
And you have an agreement with them. You put it there. If there is any leakage, there is any issue of loss of data and all that, you hold them responsible. They have a name to protect and all that, you know. So we need to start looking at that policy and seeing how we can change, because it's very expensive having, you know, your own data center, your own private cloud, your own, all these things.
As a government
organization, it takes a lot of money. You know, it's sitting deep into the
So are you
government
saying it's
purse.
actually cheaper with the foreign ones, based on your experience?
Yes, to some extent it might be cheaper, you know, and it's scalable. Do you know how much they sell 1 petabyte of storage? You know, it's expensive. So
That's
you need
with
storage
the private cloud compared with the
with the public cloud, with the you know. So though you need to look at it,
The
you know,
pros and
pros and
cons.
cons. Let's
Yeah.
just look at it. We can evaluate it and see, okay, is it better we go this route?
So for
or-
this particular
So
issue, do you think there are more pros than cons? Is it what you're saying?
there are
to
more
to
pros
have-
than cons.
to host
Seriously.
with the Azures and the Googles and
Yes,
the Amazons.
yes,
Is it cheaper? Or
It's-
the pros is it better when you weigh the pros and cons than
Yes, it's cheaper, and you
own-
have a lot of things to work with when you host in the public. You know, like you host with Amazon, you have your big data with Amazon, or you know, you have a lot of infrastructure, you have a lot of things to work with there. You know, so it's sometimes when you look at it, it's actually cheaper than government building such infrastructure all over the place. You know, so yeah, it depends anyway. You know. We can look at it. It's just so those policies, we need to review the policies we have,
Yes.
and then see, you know, the policies that enhance the issue of training acquisition, skill acquisition, and all that. We need to look at it. Funding of startups.
of startups?
You know, when we are looking
Local
at our
funding.
budgets, yes, look at the Ministry of Communication, Innovation, and Digital Economy should look at things like that. You know, area of funding startups and all that. Government should be fully involved in these kind of things. Let people even come forward, bring the idea, talk about it, you know, and all that. You can even help them shape the idea. You have some expert that can shape these ideas to, you know, to what it should be, and then you fund it. You know, I mean, WhatsApp came from a country. WeChat is from China. So many of these things. Why can't Nigeria have our own collaborate tools?
Yes.
You know, we're always on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on this, we're on Facebook, we're on all that. Who says we can't build that in Nigeria? Who says we can't build our own collaborative tool? You know?
Wow.
So those things are there. Nigeria, we need to wake up. You need to get up and do something
Because,
wonderful.
Yeah, the world is leaving us.
Yes,
behind.
let a major product come out of this country to the world. You
But
know?
we do have
know?
the payment gateways we have. I think they
Like Flutterwave,
Flutterwave and the rest.
Flutterwave and all that.
They're
Yeah.
actually a testament to what Nigerians can do.
Yes, go and check Flutterwave very well. It's almost taken over by foreigners now.
That's the same thing I saying.
You know,
No local funding.
No local
to
funding.
hold
them,
it back
to hold
home.
it back home to say, okay, this is Nigerian product.
I'm sure like 80% of their equities
It's abroad.
is
It's
with
all
Morgan
over there.
Stanley or somebody.
So we need to do something that is with a full local content and all that in terms of funding, shareholding, and everything. You know, people need to encourage these things. You know, we have brilliant people in Nigeria, smart people that are ready to do a lot of these things, but when they are not encouraged, it becomes a problem. You know.
Wow.
So
there's so much to talk about. If we were to continue this conversation, we will not end.
there is a lot to talk about.
I want you to just leave us with this, like your last was like, what's your vision for the tech landscape in the public sector?
You see, for me, in the next 10 years in Nigeria, I want to see a Nigeria where all our systems are well integrated. You want to, at your fingertip, you can talk about data in Nigeria. You can talk about, data reducing the crime rate, kidnapping rate, reducing. You can talk about the economy and then be able to give accurate data when it comes to the economy of Nigeria. When you talk about anything in Nigeria, you should have good data on it. You should have a where you can have a central database that can. You see, let me give you an experience in India. When I was studying the big data in India, we went for practical outside the institution. Yes, to look at some of their infrastructure. We got somewhere where they are monitoring.
Was it the center? Was it run by the government?
Yes, it's
really?
Government funded.
Wow.
In fact, I went on a scholarship, Indian scholarship,
wow,
a high-tech scholarship to that school.
Wow.
For the diploma. So we went to where they have the big data for their power system. So they showed us the screen where you can see the rate of usage of electricity in each home. In every home, you can see it, their usage on a daily basis. So they are able to monitor the trends.
All you have to do is maybe plug in the address or something.
I'm telling you, you will see how they use electricity.
Not just the amount used, but what it's used for. Something.
You will see the usage and everything, and then they are able to monitor the usage. You can imagine that, if the usage of a particular area drops, they can actually check why. They can ask the question of checking why did it drop? Do they have problem there? If it goes up, they can check, is that
maybe
a new
somebody
industry
has moved there or something
that is using
and that can be information for even tax authorities.
It can be information for tax authorities.
Like maybe an industry
it can be information for crime. Maybe some people are developing some very difficult, very dangerous things there,
or using high compute there.
High compute or something. So they showed us you can actually see
the information you can get just from
real life usage. For power usage,
from analytics and power usage
and all that, you can see all of that happen there. They showed us all that. Why can't we have that in Nigeria? So who is monitoring the usage in Nigeria? The power we're transmitting, the usage and all that, to even say what is the exact the power that we need to even generate for Nigeria to use. Do we have that statistics in Nigeria? Do we have anything like that? So we are talking about crime. We are talking about this. We have the telecoms industry there that they have the data for calls and all that. And people still use this phone to call people to demand for ransom. So we can not do a geospatial analysis to even pinpoint where this is happening majorly. And then, and then drill down to the particular location. Yeah. Why are we not doing that? So in the next 10 years, I want to see Nigeria talking about
we can use data
to fight, to do a lot of things, solve our economic problems, solve our
kidnapping issues.
Yes, crime issues, money laundering issues, through the financial data, collection of tax, through the financial data, through a lot of information, business information all over the place, So we can bring, when you say 19.4 trillion for revenue collection and all that, I still believe that is even small for Nigeria.
No, of course.
We can collect 100 trillion.
If
we have the data, the right data to do that. So there is a lot that we can do around this. And I think that's why I'm thinking that the government should make the issue of technology, the issue of data and all that a priority. Money can go there. We know the road is good, building coastal road for 15 trillion and all that. Imagine Nigeria wants to pump 15 trillion into technology, into integrating data, into building the technology infrastructure and all that, digital literacy and all that.
Yes.
Can you imagine what that can do in the next 10 years in this country? Giving funding to startups and all that. Yeah. That will change the landscape. Completely.
Wow.
So you see us producing things, you see us building things, and all that. That means the economy has been stimulated. Jobs will be there. Yeah. You graduate with good skills, you can get a job somewhere. Because people will now think, like, what can I do within this technology landscape? What can I bring to bear? Because I will have ready funding for it.
Already.
I'll be able to,
so just for you to come up with your idea.
Just come up with your idea, then you are good to go. See a lot of our youth now going into Yahoo and all that. and doing a lot of things. We can shift that focus
to something else.
to something positive. Yes, let us do that. So that's just what we need to do.
Wow.
Pump some money into this sector and see what will happen to the youths, what will happen to everybody. You staying on the social media doing nothing, just abusing everybody every day will reduce. You don't even need
Keyboard warriors out
yes
there.
now you don't need to even limit freedom of speech or anything.
Yes.
You will, when they have something else to do, they will forget about going there to
and
abuse
there's so much
the president.
to learn.
There's so much to
learn, so much to do.
yes, let's rechannel the energy to something else, to technology, to technology startups and all that. And then the way Nigeria in the next 10 years will be, people will be coming here to learn from us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oluyemi Ojudu. You just ended this talk with this beautiful picture you've painted of where we can be in the next 10 years if we just come back to the basics, come back to the drawing board. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you for bringing me. This is a very wonderful idea anyway. I think we'll see more of it.
Yes.
And then when we keep talking about this, maybe the government will listen at some point.
At some point, we'll get to the ears
of the government
right
to see what we can do better in Nigeria in terms of technology. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.